Let me ask you the question. I would like to ask the AG to propose legislation for what we call small claims court. There are lots of poor people, for an example you just gave, that they have issues with others and sometimes with large firms, but the lawyer fee is greater than the fee you're claiming.
It is their
right.
Unlike the right that someone has, all of our rights exist in context.
What is the context of a second medical opinion?
Because you're disrespecting the process.
No.
Jesus, this is common sense, man.
Any situation which you see in the group, you're just dealing with Afro-Guyanese issues. If one, you can't bring and pull the leaders of the African community together, you're failing. And if two, you can't put forward a future, a blueprint, and a plan for African Guyanese, you're failing as well.
Hi there, welcome to the Freddie Kissoon Show for a brand new year, 2026. This is our first show for 2026, and it would not be right, or it would be indecent for me not to welcome you with an expression of gratitude for 2025. An expression of gratitude to the people of Guyana, the diaspora, and elsewhere in the world that have looked at this program 3.5 years ago and that have given us extensive viewership, extensive coverage. Thanks for being with us. On behalf of myself, I'd like to thank Leonard Craig, who in November completed 1 year on this program. I'd like to thank Adaiki Hicks and Robert Hussein, our two operators who have been with us in studio and out of studio. We are filming in the Aquatic Center, and as you can see, the background are the two swimming pools. One, the swimming pool for learners, and then the Olympic-sized swimming pool. For this edition, Leonard Craig and I would look at what we would like to see in Guyana for 2026. I will start off with what I would like to see and then hand over to Leonard Craig. I want to say one thing that I don't know if it's light or it's not light. And I don't know if you may say, no, Freddie, don't say that. Or I don't know if Craig will be annoyed with it, but at the end, a man has got to do what a man has got to do. Could you please call Leonard Craig this year on his phone and tell him to always be in time?
Freddie, people get beat up for less than less than that. But I'm not a violent man, so.
Having said that, what would we like to see in Guyana, our country, that we have not left? I studied at McMaster University, University of Toronto, then came back, worked with the Grenada government, and have been in my country since 1984. Craig studied in Germany and China and back in his country. This is our country, and we'd like to see the following things take place in our country in 2026. I start first with best wishes to a very unique president in a global context, a unique man, a unique politician, Muhammad Irfan Ali, Dr. Muhammad Irfan Ali, who graduated with a doctorate at the University of the West Indies in urban planning. So I guess he puts a personal touch to all these infrastructural projects that are going on, airport, highway, bridges, because he has a PhD in urban planning from the region's best university, University of the West Indies. I would like to see for 2026, Irfan Ali deepens his penetration of the Guyanese society, and I'd like to see the embrace gets more extensive. I'd like to see him build on his embrace. I think people like this man. There are people who think the government is making a lot of mistakes, some mistakes. There are people who would like to see improvements. But I think overall, in a holistic way, the Guyanese people appreciate Muhammad Irfan Ali. And I would like to see in 2026, he becomes more ubiquitous. He becomes more penetrating in his endeavor to make Guyana a very, very, very prosperous and futuristic country. I will come back with things that I want to see in 2026. Over to Leonard.
Happy New Year to everyone watching. And again, I'd like to reiterate that we want to say thank you to all those who have tuned into our program from time to time. I know the politicians don't miss the program and the people don't miss the program. And if you miss it when it's aired live, I know a lot of people go to it afterwards. Just keep doing that. This is the place for political insights and discussion and things like that. And it might be the leading show. Well, not might be, it is the leading show for political analysis all across Guyana. And we ask you to continue with the program and stay with us. We have an exciting year ahead. And, you know, with respect to what I'd like to see for 2026, now, there is something that is plaguing Guyana, all across Guyana in the public service. Sometimes you go to public entity for a service that the government offers to the people of Guyana. And the people who deliver the service, those young ladies and young men behind the counter, they sometimes behave as though you come there to bother them, as though you come there to beg them for alms. And I would like to see that change progressively. I understand that some of it is endemic and it would take more than a year to change. But I would like to see us make decided steps. I think there is a special unit now under the Ministry of Public Service and Implementation. I heard and read that the government is embarking on some sort of program with respect to that. I hope it is successful and I hope marked steps are made. In my opinion, when you go into a public service entity to seek a public service that flows from taxpayers' money and all of that, the moment you reach the door, you should feel as though this place is set up to serve you. Some places you go from this, as soon as you touch from the security guard, you are turned off. You just want to go, you just want to leave, and if it isn't for because the service is necessary, you have to continue on because there's only one government and there's only one government service. And I often tell people that many times, many of these people who are put in trust of the public service give the government of the day a bad name. And especially when you give discretionary powers to some of these officers, you're dead in your boots. And I would like to see that change remarkably and decidedly. When people show up, the way you paint the walls, if that dark creamish color is heavy on the environment, change it to white. So when you or some other color, jazzy color like blue, sky blue, something, whatever it is, so that when members of the public walk in to an area, a lobby or a room or a counter for service, they must see people who are happy to serve you, not faces that suggest that, hey, here's another one that come to bother me. Here's another one that come to ask a stupid question. Here's another one that, you know, and so on. That is something, Freddie, I'd really like to see delivery of service.
I'm going to come to my second thing, but I want to be the devil's advocate based on what you just said. I have heard the past 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40 years that one of the arguments that explain that behavioral pattern is salaries and wages. I don't know how you feel about it, but that theory is very old. When you speak to people, especially academics, sociologists, and political theorists who study Guyana, they would say, man, but public servants, police and soldiers' salaries are a bit low. I want to say I think so. I want to think, no, I am not saying there's a linkage there. I'm saying for the past 40 years, people have expressed that linkage to me. And I just feel I don't want to dismiss it in its entirety. I think I prefer to travel safely by saying that I would look forward this year to substantial increases. Because, you know, my daughter came back to visit and we were driving. And we were discussing while we're driving. And do you know, I'm going to put my finger out and point to you. Do you know every single thing that makes a person's life and a family's life and a business life meaningful in Guyana stems from a public service action? You just name it. Transport for your house, business registration, registration for your child to go to school. Stepping onto the plane, you have to get a document to show the airline. Every single thing stems from a document that a public servant has to sign. Everything. We are filming in the aquatic center and we had to get permission from a public servant to film here. And I want to think that maybe we should relook at the salaries of public servants and especially police. Now, I travel this road. When I leave the aquatic center, I have about 4 errands to do. So I can be driving along Georgetown. And those policemen are in the sun whole day directing traffic. And I don't want to fully embrace the theory of that linkage, but I would hope in 2026 there is a meaningful, I avoid the word substantial, but a meaningful increase in the salaries and wages of people who work for the state. Having said that, let me put my second input into what I would like to see in 2026. I'd like to see a substantial, and I'm now using the word substantial, I'd like to see a substantial topping up of the assistance to people with disabilities. When you have disabilities, you're not a normal person. You're blind, you're deaf, you cannot walk properly, you cannot work because of one hand. And you know what I found out without doing any research? Just from observation, just from driving in my car, walking in Border Market, walking in Merriman Mall, I find the people with disabilities are not from the middle class, upper middle class, and the bourgeoisie. They do have people with disabilities, and because of the wealth of the business and the family, they're taken care of. But when I go into Monroe Market and when I travel, I find the people with disabilities are ordinary people, people who don't have a substantial income. I would like to see disability assistance increase substantially. They cannot help themselves. Some of them can't help, some of them could help themselves, but not like us, where we could just, look, I'm flying my hands around. After I finish here, I'm going to push Leonard Craig in the pool, and he's going to come out. I'm telling you, you wouldn't capture this on camera. I'm going to push him in the pool. And so he's going to come out and go in the place and dry himself. He has the physical capacity to do that. These people with disabilities don't. If I push my friend with disability in the pool, the man is going to die. I get charged for a murder. I plead manslaughter and spend 20 years under my sentence.
But I hope you could swim.
Oh, I can swim. Yeah, I can swim. So I will ask the cameraman if he could capture. Remember when Brian McIntosh went to Critic Studio and a fight ensued? The cameraman was there capturing it. I can ask if he can.
They're gonna see Freddie swimming today.
But I can ask if
I know that for sure.
I can ask him if he could capture Leonard Craig in the pool to underscore the point of how sad disabilities are. Craig.
Yeah. Nobody in Guyana in sane mind can oppose the increase in salary for public servants, whether you use the word substantial or whether you whatever word you use. Nobody in their right mind can oppose that or should oppose that. If you ask me, I would say this: give a 5-year plan I'm talking about. Give public servants, let's say, about 30% across the board. Just using a figure, could be more. And then freeze for the next 3 or 4 years, divide the public service into 4 categories, whether it's police or defense thing, and then you get teaching and nurses together, and then you get other public servants, and take each category year by year by year and give them a substantial increase. So the others will catch up. At the end of it, everybody will be even out after 5 years, at the end of the 5 years term. And so everybody will get substantial increase. That could be an approach, but I wouldn't argue against the increase. However, I don't think low wages and salaries should be the major determining factor in service delivery. I believe eventually it's an oil economy, eventually wages and salaries will catch up. There is so many other things to fix in Guyana, and that is why on the last program I said I wish for 2025 we could protect and guard our investment, our public investment. When we put down a road, we put down street lamps and so on. System is in place to protect so that we don't have to spend 2 times on one thing. So that we will eventually move off of extensive infrastructure, and more money can then be dedicated to salaries and wages. So I believe it will increase. I believe it will get to a place where we are probably higher than income in Trinidad and so on. But it's got to be targeted. But I don't think that, in the interim, I don't think that should affect public service delivery. And as I said, some public servants are really rotten, just rotten. For example, only a few days ago, I was in Berbice, and a gentleman's wife came to me and said, I really want you to look into this. I know who you got to talk to, whatever. I went to the office. Did government announce a $50,000 for a person who has disability? My husband got a stroke how many years back? He's in a wheelchair. He went to the local office and they told him that he isn't qualified. And she said because she speak up, the people get vexed with she and chase she out the place and all those kinds of things. Now,
Oh my goodness, man.
right? And so I'm saying public servants in some institutions and in some position of trust are just rotten, like just real rotten. And the system, look, let me say this. People who are paid to deliver service, especially public service, I don't like to advocate for people's dismissal and demotion and so on. But that's one thing I would sleep comfortably if people in those positions are demoted because they don't, demoted or removed because they don't understand the idea of delivering the highest quality service to members of the public.
All right. Back to me and what I'd like to see in 2026. Something really pierced the psyche of my daughter. When we were driving, and on two occasions we stopped on the pedestrian crossing for people to cross, and they were crossing from our side of the car, and to our left, cars came and went through. Do you know if those persons didn't slowly peep and they just walk across, what would have happened? Here's what I want to see in 2026. I want to see those cameras, those ubiquitous cameras working. I see people, look, you're there in the line, and so you want to turn. Please look at my hands. It's straight like that, and then you have to turn. If somebody's coming around the line and turn, when you turn, the two of you are meeting up. They have to be in the line to turn. Where are the cameras? You know, I am, what they say, common pardon, somebody looking at this book will not understand what raw-rank means. But I'm a raw-rank Caribbean man, raw-rank post-colonial academic, raw-rank rejecter of imperial colonial narratives that have been posed in us. So I tend to be anti-Western, I tend to be pro-Palestinian, but I know what Naipaul felt. I don't agree with Naipaul. I am not a fan of Naipaul. Naipaul was too anti-Caribbean without understanding what we've been through in slavery and indentureship and colonialism. But sometimes I wonder if the white man doesn't lead us because we want to be led. In the white man country, those cameras are monitored, and you pick up the guy who refuse to join the line and come around there, and you're with your children in the car, and the two you meet, your whole day is spoiled. What are you doing with the cameras? I travel this road and I see people go through pedestrian stops with pedestrians on the line. I see people just come around you and gone into the red light, and you could have... Look, a man told me, a Jamaican guy told me, boy, Jamaican drivers bad, but I never see nothing like this in Guyana. And everybody repeats that mantra. But you could stop it. Now, how the white man comes in? The white man don't stand for that nonsense. They have no nonsense approach. I lived in Canada, he lived in Germany. You can't just throw out your barbecue box on the road like that and a policeman see you. You are not going to be tapped on the wrist.
Not even a policeman, you can't even make ordinary Germans see you do that. You know.
Hear what I'm saying? Good. You're driving bad, you do stupid, but you have the cameras. We showed some youths. Put myself on this program 2 years ago, and Akash Prasad. They put a dog in a bag, closed the bag and was beating the dog. We showed that The guy's faces were there. They should have been charged and put in youth prison. I am telling you, why do we allow the white people to lead us? If that was captured on camera in the US, in Australia, that would have gone viral. You know what people would have said? Find them, look for them, put them in youth camp. We showed that thing with some youths in Pleasance on the main road, beating that dog in a bag, and the dog, nothing happened. Why the white man? Why we allow the white man to have that jump ahead of us? The white man and the white countries are monitoring those cameras. We're at the convention center, out on the railway embankment when we live. Yeah, I see the cameras. I live on the railway embankment in Eugene Road, and the cameras are there. And you should see the nonsense people do. But right opposite where we are, right next door to be on the same street, the back, right opposite the convention center, there's an area there. And this night they were using banned explosives. But there was no police. It was loud, the dog. My wife and I looked out and said, look, the dogs running. Look, the stray dogs running. Where are the cameras? And when we leave here, ladies and gentlemen of Guyana, in the diaspora, and the rest of the people are looking at this program, come to Guyana and you see the cameras are all over. So all I could conclude, the cameras are there, but they don't work.
Just a little bit information on camera technology. The number of cameras, if you just drive down the road in Guyana, the sheer number of cameras that are going up, I see cameras going up every day, and the numbers of cameras that are already there. It will take an entire army to monitor each one of those cameras, because on each pole has about 3 to 4 cameras. One pointing in depends on what the direction, plus they have one that tracks movement, or that if the one of the 3 on the pole, the same pole, pick up a movement, there's another tracking one that could turn and move, and so on. So it might be near to impossible to live a person monitor every camera. What happens? Some of these cameras have what you call built-in AI function. So the camera can pick up, if you like take out a gun out of your pocket, the camera can pick up the shape of a gun. Or in some cases it might have infrared technology or some other technology to detect. It might not detect it while it's in your pocket, but once you take it out, the camera can pick that up. The camera can pick up if you move in a particular line and then send a notification to somebody's desk. But other than some of those things that the AI can pick up, you have to have an incident reported, and then somebody go to the camera, at that specific camera, and pull up this incident that is reported, take out the film, and then send it for prosecution. So some of these things will have to be reported because they're stored there, but you can't have enough persons to monitor each camera. That'll be next to impossible, right? So it might not be that the cameras are not working, Freddie. It might just be that the incident has not been reported. So what needs to go alongside that is some sort of hotline, some sort of WhatsApp to say, look, at 9:15 at the junction of so and so, I saw so and so. And then a person receiving that could then go and pull up the image.
All right,
So,
here's this, and I know you deal with that technology. I was Seawall boy, and I saw something in the Seawall, and they have a big camera monitoring the whole Seawall Road and the Esplanade and the First Lane. And I saw a police harass the driver, and I'm always on the Seawall, so I went to him and I said, no man, you can't do that. The man has a baby and his wife there. I went to the police outpost. And I said, look, you captured it in camera. You can see your rank, how your rank was behaving. Hear what I was told. Well, they closed ranks and didn't want to meet them. I went to the person who's in charge of them, a very, very nice superintendent. And she said to me, they have to retrieve the footage from next to the
another
convention
location,
center.
right.
And what I'm saying is, if you see this guy knock someone or stab someone and ride away, you now have to retrieve that thing. How long does that take? But why don't we have a system? Does the technology have a system where the cameras in the police outpost, they can go through the system and look back right there and then?
No. All they have is, you see, different people got different level of control and access, and something like that, high security cameras and so on. You can't give any constable in a little booth access. Well, what the constable could do is have access to watch the footage and maybe in a limited way move around the camera to see the environment. But in terms of retrieving, you gotta go up the rank. Probably, I don't know at what level. It probably is at the level of the inspector, and then the inspector sent to the place to retrieve the footage and probably give an explanation why he wants it. The problem might be the length of time that takes to happen. We probably need SOPs that say all of this must happen within 24 hours or all of this must happen within 12 hours. Incident occur, this is the SOP. You get this on, and if it could be done electronically, you file a request electronically. It comes right away to the inspector. The inspector see it. If he wants clarification, he call on the radio for clarification and then forward it. And once the inspector's signature, the inspector's trace digital signatures there, then the system should respect the level of the inspector, the superintendent, or whatever level that is, and forward this thing within a certain amount of hours. But that is a matter of SOP, right? But I think
standard operating procedure.
Yes, I think
not statement.
No, not statement. Standard operating procedure. Probably should have said that. But because we have so many cameras, and you gotta have a level of authority or administration, they have to be able to access this camera image very easily, especially for low security matter. I think if there is a high security matter, you want to deal with it but people need to know that these cameras seeing them, because people go in and peek. This is a pole with the camera, and people go in and peek, take out the genitals and peek on the pole with the camera, and there is no repercussion. People need to know these cameras are working, and you do anything out the line, even if you dump something right by the camera, people are eating with their food boxes and dump right under the camera. My point is, you gotta have an easy way of accessing that image, get it to the police concerned, track down the and let people know that everywhere you go, this camera seeing you when you picking up, when you committing infractions to the law. People are coming, get builders' waste, coming with a whole truckload of stone and all builders' waste, and just dump it right next to a camera. And it got big, no dumping at this place, and there's no repercussions. So they have to find a simple way where officers could request, give their reasons why, and then when the images are reviewed over there before cut and sent over, you could have another layer of administration say, here, look, this is a higher security level. we see something here that is higher security level than a constable or a corporal should be given this thing, we can only deal with the superintendent, or the superintendent has to. They got protocols. But if it's simple matter, somebody dumping the police saw that they want the footage, that should come easily. And those of us who are using the roadway, they doing, we should know that there is repercussion for breaking the law.
All right, people looking at this program, obviously, say, Craig and Fred, when you can talk to politics, we are more seeing. I do not think any human being on planet Earth would be insane, irrational, psychotic, stupid, asinine to say they would not like to see an opposition in a country. When you have an opposition in a country, even though you like the government, I like Orphan Ali. My history, my existence, and in Nandalal did a lot for me. I'm voting for no other party once, and in Nandalal is in that party. And then Nandalal been very, very nice to me and my family. So I think Orphan Ali is a unique character. I voted for the PPP. I don't want to vote for the PPP this year in the local government election. I voted for Anin Nandalal in 2030 election. But I believe a country should have an opposition. You know why? Because they expose things that the government may not know about, or the government may know about, but just brush over. And when the opposition amplify it, the government solve the problem. So the opposition then performs a good task. We had an opposition from, I'm telling you, from the time of the last election. You don't see these people doing anything. Now, I wrote about this in my column. I do not believe that speedboat operators should be stopped from raising their fare by $100. I don't believe minibus operators should be stopped. I am not a fan of minibus operators. My daughter and wife aren't going into any minibus. If I have to walk, and if I want crutches, I will walk them and prevent them from going in the minibuses. But you cannot single out them and tell them they cannot increase their fare. And prices for every single thing goes up, including drugs. Drugs that I use that didn't Craig use. Those are drugs where health and they go up. And you never see the opposition saying what I'm saying now. You never see these people anything. We don't have a consumer association. We have one that started, and Red Thread and Christopher Am started. So you can imagine what's going to happen there. That could be an anti-government outfit. But that is where the opposition gets capital, gets traction from. People don't want to hear an opposition that's every day the budget, every day this road bill badly. They want to hear that, yeah. But they also want to see the opposition go into an alleyway where a man dump his thing and people can't pass in alleyway and he bullying people. That is what I did with my activism. I would go with Mark Benchop, I would go with Leonard, Craig, and we would say, man, oh, we could throw your thing there. That is what the opposition should do for 2026. Get off your asses, go into the communities, go into Guyana, and confront these things that are wrong in villages and communities. Don't sit on your backside in Parliament and talk about the budget only. People don't want an opposition to do that only. People want an opposition that when the man bring his son, he throw it on the road, and 6 months after he build nothing yet, the opposition has to go to city council and say, get that son moved. That is what I want to see in 2026?
I agree with the second part of what you said, but not the first about the raising a minibus fare. I think there should be price controls on anything that falls or comes close to being a public utility, where mass people use it in mass, like telecommunication, transportation. So, and all these areas are small profit margin areas. So when you're going into it, you know from the outset that it's a small profit margin, but to get income from it, you got to do volume. You got to do many trips or things like that. And you have to have price controls on it. I'm not saying that all the fares that exist today can be bumped up a little. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, we got to maintain price controls, because these things have the effect of changing standard of living almost instantly. They could have an instant economic impact on people's affordability. And that is why you come into the field, you know that you come into a low profit area, but you depend on it. You depend on the volume to create a decent income. And again, that is not to say that, okay, let's sit down and review all these fares. Why is going to Timeri all the way up to Timeri only $300, and you go the same distance all the way to Victoria, this $120? You know, an equivalency of mileage or whatever.
But if you're saying they can't raise fare, you then have to do some research to help them.
Yes.
You can't tell me the fare must remain the same. I've been driving for the longest while. You can't tell me the must raise the fare, and then the tire that they have to buy that they bought last year is now $2,000 more. You can't tell me that the rubber for the minibus. You can't tell me that the radiator cork that they bought last year gone up now by $600. And when you add up it for that year, accessories have gone up by 50%. No man, they have to put that into the thing.
Yeah. I agree, but I don't think a minibus, a group of minibus owners should say, "Hey, we are the ones working Georgetown to East Coast. We are gonna make our fares 200 from 120." I don't subscribe to that. I think a public agency, a government agency, along with those people, got to sit down with the figures before them and come up together, along with probably a consumer association, and determine what is a good fare for the public to pay, and at the same time pay the minibus driver. So I'm not against fare increase, but it can't be that you take it on your own. A taxi driver could take it on his own.
In other words, there should be context.
Yeah. It has to be. And most countries, fares are determined by mileage and by the type of roadway.
It's your turn to see what you want.
Yes. So for the year coming up, I would like to see a program that is targeted towards youths that you see linemen all day, are not in productive employment, either because they don't have any training. In some cases, some of those guys that you see linemen and girls that just stay home doing nothing is not. Sometimes it's not for a want of training, and sometimes it's for a want of motivation. And maybe we got to do a lot of teaching people that you could start with a small salary and build and overtime, and so on, because, people prefer to stay home because they're not going out to work for 5,000 a day. And 5,000 a day can't pay, it's best I stay home and watch TV, things like that. How people could work around that and so on. And so we could get a lot of these people because, for example, I'm not being anti-Venezuelans or anti-immigrant here.
I hope
but
not.
A lot of these people come into Guyana, and when some of these guys who are liming are local people liming and say, oh, they're not working for that, and they or they're saying they're not finding jobs, but these guys are coming and they're finding jobs, and you're seeing their improvement. You're seeing they're buying these electric bikes, and you're seeing they're buying motorbikes, and some Venezuelans, ordinary Venezuelans, are even driving cars on the road in Guyana. And they only came here the other day, and you see them in the services. So there is scope, but some people, including the opposition, has got to help put these people to work. And I would hope that if the government does not party with the opposition for anything else, that could be one of the areas in which they use the town councils and the village councils to assist to get some of these people into productive employment and contributing to moving the country forward and advancing their own selves. I would like to see a program like that started. It can't finish everything or whatever you, but if there's a robust program started, get started this year, we can then move forward, and in a short period of time, maybe 5-10 years time, we get rid of this, but it got to be something dedicated, working hard towards, especially youths in the city.
Yeah, the inner city where, okay, let me swing over to me and if you go through my columns, there got to be dozens of thousands. You write the daily column for the past 18 years. But you will find a few of them, more than 6, I would think more than 8, talking about denial of bail. But not only denial of bail, what the prosecutor says. The prosecutor jumps up and in 9 out of 10 says, we're challenging bail, madam, because of the prevalency of the crime. That nowhere in the law, the two are related. You cannot deny bail because of the prevalence of a particular crime. Bail has to be denied on the fear of not returning to court to answer charge, tampering with evidence that will make the trial a farce, or flight, or intimidation, those kind of things. Bail cannot be denied because of the prevalency of the crime.
Should not be.
It's not related. Now I saw the president and the attorney general talking about law reform, and they talk about bail. I've been speaking about that you know how long? If a man steals a side view mirror, how you gonna put $50,000 on him? Where he's gonna find that? When he was going to steal a mirror to sell it, the magistrates have to be reasonable. They put excessive bail on people and they end up in court longer than what if they were jailed for the offense.
There is something more ridiculous than that, Freddie. If you are charged at the police station, right, and the police puts you on 40,000 station bail so that you go to court. When you go to court, the magistrate decide that she's going to put you or he's going to put you on $30,000 court bail. You have to find that money there and then,
and
or you go into, and the state has $40,000 for you, and it is not convertible to court bail.
What should happen then is the prosecutor should have at his disposal. He was on $40,000 bail in Kitty, your worship. And then she says, well, he'll have to seek deduction you have to seek for
Right.
his 10,000. I put it on. Or if she put him on 50,
Well, she could
he'll have to
order
find
that the bail is
10,000.
converted,
Yeah.
and or something like that, or it be natural in the thing. And the people who this affect are poor people.
No, but don't go further. Craig, I'm in my 70s. I've been active in politics since I was 16. Do you know how many people I've bailed, including Leon Hunt, famous AFC youth? And when I go to get my money back at the station,
Yeah. Don't tell you don't
you
talk
got
about
to
that.
get it at Tivoli, but it has to be signed in the station.
And then go to
Superintendent
a
Morton is not
superintendent
there.
and then come back.
No, Superintendent Morton is not there. Sergeant Bascom is not there. And you just say, man, what the hell?
Yeah.
You know how much bail I did not get?
I also
How
got
could
several
that be
bail.
right?
Even while I was at AFC, guys call and say they end up in a traffic matter. Can you come and pay bail for me? You go and you pay bail for them. And when you go to get back, you know how much money the state has for me right now for bail for people that I assisted at 10,000 or 20,000 a year. The system is just, to me, when you issue a bail, this bail receipt should be like a check, should be convertible to cash. You just get your discharge paper, you won't gotta go for this body
Why
sign.
you sending the money to
Once
evil
you-
area?
once you
Give
have-
the money to stations so people can
Once,
get
in fact, there should be specific bail offices that ain't got nothing to do with police. When the police give you a document,
You go to the bail
to
office.
the bail office, you pay
collect
bail,
it.
and that thing they give you is equivalent to a check.
But you got to hear this one.
When you get it, no, I want to finish this other thing.
Let me tell you
Now,
what.
when your case is finished, remember the police 40,000. The magistrate put you on 30. The 40 is not convertible. Now your trial finished, and the magistrate say you are sentenced to $20,000 fine or 2 weeks in prison. The police then come and they hold you and put you in a little cell until you pay that 20,000, and the state still get 40 and 30 for you. And you would, if you can't find the 20,000 before 2 o'clock when they close up the cell under the magistrate court there, if you can't find that 20,000,
overnight like me with my
you gone to you gone Camp Street or you gone somewhere, and the state still got 40,000 for you, 30,000 court bail, and then they're jailing you for $20,000.
Listen to this. A lady, this was told on the Freddie Kissoon show by Wesley Curtin, the consultant to DDM. A lady committed some offense in Georgia and East. And when she came over Hassan in New York, the coach of Hassan, and the system showed that she got some fine outstanding in Georgia, for New York. You're a computer guy. With this kind of system we have now, where you could go and find out in Grenada who is who in Afghanistan. Why the station doesn't have a system where the prosecutor, remember they're sending him to court from Kitty Station. Why you don't have a system where that information goes over to the court? So when case is called, the prosecutor has his laptop and he sees Michael Singh, right, charged for Kitty Station on $40,000 bail. And then life becomes more bearable for that guy. You could design the software. The software exists. Why we have to let the white man lead us? That you get charged in Kitty, you go to court in Sparadam, and there's nothing. You know what doesn't exist in this country? Correct? Operator signal 8 minutes. Guess what doesn't exist in this country? If you get a warning for not wearing safety belt in Morbies, good. You could do that in SUP, and the man know you get warning Morbies. Then you do it in Georgetown. So you're wearing safety belt, and all the time you tell the officer, man, it's okay. That officer should now have a notebook when he's doing. Put it in the notebook. It goes into the system. So, and that is what happened in the developed world. You live the jungle. So when that guy in Kitty stopped PAA 2222 for not wearing the city belt, he makes so. He says, sir, but you were stopped in Burmese. You were stopped in Essequipe. Oh, you don't want to wear safety belt, man. Charge. Charge. Why we don't have that system? Why we allow the white man to have it and we don't have it?
Yeah. The other thing I'd like to see this year, and this is not political or anything, but as you said earlier, most of the services in the country leads back somewhere or the other to public service. But I would like to see the banks be a little more efficient.
But you and I were supposed to protest outside the public bank.
And we probably still should.
No, we should. And
the banks be a
I
little,
haven't picked it for a long time. I want to pick it. The
banks should be a little more efficient for the services that the small people earn. Do you know if you get paid with a check and you just want to deposit it, you don't want to do nothing else, there is no service, there's no express line there, you got to go in, especially in Republic Bank, and stand up in a long, winding line just to say, I want to deposit this check. And things like that. These some of these little program things. The other thing, there is no efficient interbank changing of checks, for example, for small checks. And those are the people who need their money most and more instantly, or people with small businesses. So if your check is above, I think, what's the cutoff point, $500,000, they put it on special clearance, which means the service exists.
$500,000 is a sum of money in this day and age.
No, the point I'm
making... You know how much US that is?
Yeah, the point I'm making is that they should do it the other way around.
No. Craig, 2026, the banking system has to change. We need to demand that. Craig, I want the people of Guyana to know what the finance minister said. What the finance minister said, and I don't understand how nobody haven't called out the finance minister on this. This country read and heard what the finance minister said, and just have not followed up with him. I am speaking directly to the finance minister. He said the Anti-Money Laundering Act is a global thing for all countries. All countries subscribe to it. And he doesn't understand why there's so much hassle in Guyana in relation to that law. And he is the man in charge of the banks. So he has to go to them and say in Barbados, in Norway, in Denmark, in Egypt, it's the same laws. Why is it easier there than here? What nonsense are you doing? Why Dr. Ashley Singh hasn't read the Riot Act to the commercial banks as yet? That is a fault of the government. The other thing I want to see 2026 is if your account is dormant, just go in the bank and renew it. There is absolutely, and I am wild with this point, I'm behaving wildly. There is no relation to money laundering if the account is dormant. So just go in. I'm appealing to President Ali. I'm appealing to Jagdo, Vice President Jagdo. I'm appealing to Ashley Singh. I'm appealing to the cabinet of Guyana. I left out the Prime Minister. I'm appealing to the Prime Minister. Change that system so when your account is dormant, it's just automatically renewed. There should be no question because no money thing going on. Before I push you in the pool, we gotta go.
So that is one of my biggest requests for 2026. The banks should be easier because the people who suffer from the ill services at the bank are ordinary people. You don't go in the bank and see rich people line up and all that. We got to take some of these people out them lines. 2 hours to do simple $50,000 transaction in a bank in Guyana. No. We gotta change. We gotta change that.
You were busy. You get baby, looking after your baby. your mother died,
And-
and you come, the thing come dormant. You go on into the bank. Could you show me where your husband was working? What is his earning? You ain't got nothing to do with money land. Anything is dormant.
And not only that, your account, even when it is active, some people account don't even go past 400,000. Some people just receive their salary, and by the time the salary touch the bank,
Craig,
it's out.
Craig,
to do daily thing, and they will still want you to prove all these.
Before we go in 2026, everybody in this country knows you're going to be working with the Guyana government. You're a high-profile guy. You have to sit down with Mr. Jack Dio, with Dr. Ali, with Ashley Singh, and talk to them about this account dormant, and you got to show your value.
There's a whole suite of things, not just that. That's just just a small thing.
We got to go. This was our first program for 2026. If the camera, I will ask the operator to swing on the camera. If Craig goes to that pool, at the edge of that pool, I'm going to push him in. Let him go to the edge of that pool.
Freddie,
just to make the
I
point
would
about
lift you and the seat and everything and put you in there.
This has been our first program for 2026. We hope you internalize some of the things we said and participate in changing this country. We will see you on Monday. On behalf of our hardworking operators and my co-host Leonard, have a pleasant Friday evening, whatever is left in it, and enjoy your weekend. Catch you on Monday. Bye-bye.
And Freddie.